How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've got the first one of my favourite scouts. I'm doing the top 5, and yeah, this one's just scraped in at number 5. I was and ahhing between this one and the R87. I might even do a separate video on the R87 anyway, I'll see. But yeah, in the end, this one just made it. I don't actually use a lot of the scouts that often because I generally find that they're slower in a lot of terrain compared to the trucks, and a medium-sized truck, say like the Taiga, the Voron, etc., they're going to go pretty much everywhere this can. It's fairly wide for a scout. It's probably a little bit narrower than some of the trucks, but yeah, it's nothing personal against this, but every now and then I do like to go out and just have a laugh, mess around, and yeah, between this one and the R, I just think I quite like flying down roads at full speed, especially on the icy maps, because there seems to be like very little sort of resistance stats or friction, so you tend to wind up to pretty full speed, and yeah, it's quite fun. And I just find this one has a very nice kind of drift to it. The back end steps out nicely, but it's still got some decent grip on the front, so you can catch it. Whereas, say with the Yar, for example, I won't go into it too much, but with the 3 axles, like as you're sort of drifting a bit or trying to just go around corners, whether you're trying to drift or not, the middle axle kind of digs in, and then it can flick you back and make you understeer. And yeah, if I just wanted 20 minutes of messing around on Northport, flying from the garage to the port, then I'd probably take this over the R and just have a bit of a laugh, really. I mean, going through there, it was doing fine through the snow. This bit here, though, I believe this is like that super snow kind of stuff. However, I will say as well, though, I don't think this Hummer is very good on the snow. I'd say it's better, like snowy roads, it seems fine, that are kind of, you know, supposed to be kind of roads. And mud and that, it's, I don't know, it feels a little bit better than it used to. That's what she said. And then anyway, another reason why I like it is flying down the runway, jumping off here. As you know, with a Hummer, if any of you have seen some of the previous videos, it has a tendency to go a little bit mental every now and then, which is, I suppose, another reason why it ended up taking the 5th spot, because I'm not going to lie, I do like jumping off a cliff, flying around like a maniac, kick the shit out of a fish. What more could you ask for? I mean, yeah, clearly there's something wrong with it. And slapped a mole around and we're off, having a good time. Rocks go flying everywhere. But yeah, it's not the first time it's done it. It certainly won't be the last. I think this is the 3rd Hummer I own / owned. I've now bought another one because, yeah, as you'll see, this one is otherwise engaged as well now. But I mean, it's smashed the crap out of it. It's already damaged like completely. Fuel's leaking out. It's going to be a goner. I can obviously just recover it whenever I like, so it's not really the worst thing in the world. The only place I've really noticed it, for whatever reason as well, is flying off the cliff at White Valley, and when you smash into the floor, for some reason, every now and then it grabs you, and yeah, just starts throwing you around. And of course, I was well prepared. I cut a lot of this out, but I was flying around for a good 10 or 20 minutes when I made something to eat, made a coffee and all that, and let it do its thing. And when I eventually landed, I mean, look at it, it looks like a crackhead looking for its rock or something. I mean, yeah, not the smoothest ride. Could do with a little tweak to the suspension, but other than that, I mean, this is the Hummer. I've been meaning to do the Hummer update for ages. I'll show you in a sec. My other Hummer that was the original flying. Oh, I don't know if it was the original flying Hummer. It might have been. Anyway, the horn still works, which is nice. And I mean, this thing is properly glitched now. There's no way. It was on a video a good little while ago, but when I got one of the Hummers stuck in the cliffs, I drove a twin steer flat out off the top of the cliff, stuck a winch to the Hummer that was stuck in the cliff as I was going past, and it absolutely just stopped the twin steer dead, mid-air, full speed, like he's having none of it. So eventually, randomly, it just settles down, and that's it. This is home for a while now. When I went into the interior view, I can see all the gauges. Kind of still crank the neck forward a bit. What I did notice, I can't really see it too well now, but the odometer says it has got like 32,000 something miles or kilometres or whatever on it. Like, did I get ripped off? I'll have to see. I'll try and drive this Hummer around. I might recover it at some point, or when it's next out of the cliff, or I'll just buy a new one and do it that way. But yeah, I've got a feeling that odometer is just fake, if you know what I mean, but it looks like they might have sold me a second-hand one. Anyway, as you can see, that was a 3rd Hummer that's otherwise engaged. It's busy, so I went and bought a 4th one. I mean, what, I don't know how much they They're only about 18 grand stock, but obviously fully upgraded. I mean, they've got to be probably around 50 grand, so yeah, that's another 200 grand gone. That's where my money tends to disappear. Random things like this. One thing, yeah, like this is another example of what I like doing with it. I've just upgraded this one. I'm quite liking it in yellow. It reminds me of the Hummer they had on Bad Boys 2, was it? When they go smashing through that shanty town. Anyway, at the minute, I've got the original stock Hummer tyres on it, which I have to say are very good, and I like the fact that there is even like a decent stock option. Like, they're not just the typical highway, like they're not as good as the rest. Well, highway's obviously pretty decent on the highway, but that's about it. Yeah, like, the only thing I don't like about them is, one, they don't do them in the 39-inch size, I think it is. They're only in 36s. And the other thing, I suppose, I like, again, just flying down the roads, drifting about, messing around. I mean, if I rolled something, you know, not far away, I could just nip this down there. It's pretty quick if it comes to getting across, like, the other side of a map just by flying down the roads. But yeah, it's just got a very, like, nice handling characteristic once you're at full speed. Obviously, you don't want to put any roof racks, nothing in the back, like the spare tyre or anything. It's almost a nice little corner drift in there, but I went a little bit too far to the inside, clipped a tree, and I rolled it. But yeah, this is the sort of thing I just enjoy doing in it, even if, like I said, it's not for anything particularly serious. To be fair, for the last few months, I've been doing little missions here and there, but generally speaking, I've done most of the stuff on the game. I've got the odd mission here and there left, but nothing that's, like, particularly special, so I spend a lot of my time just messing around anyway. I enjoy the game, I enjoy the mechanics of it. This is one of those that's very good to kind of test out, I suppose, the mechanics, and kind of getting used to catching the back end and, yeah, how much it drifts. Like I say, at least it actually does catch the front end back pretty nicely, so you can get away with some, yeah, just quite fun, really, as you're flying down the roads. As long as you only clip just the corners of the roads with the snow, it's not too bad, but if you go too far off, it tends to do this, I find, a lot with most of the scouts, but if you catch your wheel on the snow, it just kind of yanks you left or right, depending on which wheel you caught, and then it just completely nails your progress and your pace and everything. But if you can avoid that, but yeah, I mean, look at it, it's nice and enjoyable to go floating around in. I suppose that's one of the things that I not miss, because they've never had it, but it's like the things with the advanced special gearbox, as much as they are great for towing and all the rest of it, is like, yeah, they sort of a bit slow and it's a little bit vanilla at times. But I mean, I have to say as well, I'm not 100% on this, but I sort of got a feeling this used to be a little bit worse in mud, and I certainly wouldn't say it's a lot better, although driving down, I've been driving down here quite a lot recently, just because, like, that farm contest is there and stuff to the right. It actually goes through this mud pretty decently. There's a lot of trucks I've brought down here that, even stuff like the Tegra and that, tends to just wind down to practically, well, first gear auto, unless, like, you're better off putting it in high. So yeah, that mud is probably a little bit more awkward than it looks, kind of, than it gets credit for, considering this is the first map as well. But once we're going along, I do think as well, and it's not really at this in particular, because I think it's more the gearbox, the freeway gearbox. I definitely prefer it to the SnowRunner gearbox, because the SnowRunner gearbox just feels, again, even slower. I mean, a little Hummer, you would expect this to fly along at least as quick as a truck, and sometime, once you're actually left on a road to build your pace up, it does go pretty nicely. But another thing I would say about this, it almost, and this is probably why it's not made it a little higher up the list, because the sort of raw ingredients of having fun, the right amount of speed and drifting and madness to it, I do enjoy, but it almost feels like something on the truck is catching and slowing me down, and it's a little bit like when you're driving along it. Not all the time, I don't know, it's sort of hard to explain. You'd have to, like, when you drive it, you just sort of probably notice it yourself, that it doesn't necessarily feel like it's just completely free rolling. It's like it's dragging on something, or like the resistance stats are, say, kicking in more on the front axle than the back axle. And sometimes it almost feels like, I suppose, like a rear-wheel drive car, where it's trying to sort of overtake itself with its own arse end. But yeah, and again, that's why, like, for fun purposes, I like to go flying around in it and messing around. But if I had a serious mission to do, or I was like a bit short for time, I was about to go bed or whatever, or about to start making a video, yeah, I possibly wouldn't take this, because I know there's a pretty good chance I'll end up flying off the road. But going through here though, it did better than I thought through this field, because I remember driving through here months ago, so it could have been a number of updates by then. Like I said, they could have changed the terrain statistics, they could have changed something with this specifically, or I'm not sure, but overall, considering this field is a bit of a pain in the arse to drive through, this actually did pretty decently through there, better than I thought anyway. I thought it was near enough just gonna like make a half-assed effort to get into the field and then just wheel spin and generally go nowhere, but yeah, we got there in the end. And like I said, for a scout, it's relatively unaffected by a lot of the terrain. I suppose that's another reason the R87 didn't quite make it, because I think that is definitely over-punished on snow. And I admit, this thing isn't great on snow either, so I know that's like not necessarily a case of this is better than that, but the Yar looks more like it shouldn't be punished by snow and stuff. Like it, I suppose, feels a little bit more realistic with this, although I do think every vehicle is kind of held back on the rough terrain regardless of what it would handle like in real life. Yeah, I did the Jeff special down there. It started going, but then I drifted sideways, clipped the lamppost. Just so happened to have a Voron sat close by, so I went and rammed the Hummer quickly, just why not. And yeah, this is a bit later. I was flying down the Northport road from the garage to the port. And again, if you've seen some other videos, there's a scout trailer in the water there. Yeah, I like to fly down here and jump off here. I don't really know why. I suppose if I'm going to make some excuse for it, I can see how it reacts when I hit those like bars at the end of the port. Yeah, I jumped in there. The floating characteristics there are a bit iffy because like the current's really strong. So cutting through here, the more boggy mud that's like pretty juicy, it's a bit iffy with, and it goes a little bit slow. Again, I do think because it's a Hummer, and I do, if I'm honest, I'd rather they put the Hummer H1 in. Like the one from Mudrunner was a great Hummer. I'd say it was at about the level it should be. Like it wasn't crazy or anything like that, but it was just quite nice. This one is the Hummer H2, and it does kind of feel like it's a bit of a sort of fatter, more civilian version. That's like, I think the military one would have been a better choice personally. But yeah, I don't know, it's Hummer, it's like, I'm not expecting it to be the best of the best of the best, but they could make it a little bit like, you see these sort of bits, it's just, and you can hear that engine, it's like, it's supposed to be some 6.2 litre military turbo engine, and yeah, at times it doesn't feel like it, if I'm honest, but again, that's why I wouldn't really take this thing out a lot as like as a serious thing. When I first found this in the game, because obviously it's in Northport, kind of along the pipeline, near the water, near a drilling site, most of you'll know where it is. I found it and I used it for a little bit, and I suppose because I was already using this, or close to stock CK1500 at the time, I was kind of like, well yeah, this is a bit better. But then after a few days I just realised how crap it was on snow. I was using it in Alaska at the time. That cut through where I go from like the main road across to the fuel station in Northport, it was terrible at getting across there. So yeah, I certainly would avoid like going up into the mountains in Northport on the snowy bits. I just personally wouldn't bother unless I was just dragging it along there with another truck. But yeah, for racing around at pretty high speed for a Scout, it is a lot of fun. Of course, I had to get the loaf out, I had to give it a little go. Originally I tried to put it in the back, that's definitely what she said, and she refused, and then yeah, put the loaf on the roof. I mean, fits, what a goddamn horse of a vehicle. But I was, that basically, it was my fault. I put a winch on the loaf, and because of that it drives forward. Again, if they just add a goddamn winch mode and a pull mode, or whatever the hell it was called, then it'd be good. Went to go and winch it back across, but see, the loaf doesn't play them games. Tells the Hummer where he's going. So yeah, I was originally going to try and just reverse the loaf up the roof of the Hummer and try and get it back on the roof, but yeah, loaf wins. Tried to reverse, stick the handbrake on, see if I could flick it up, but nope. It was having none of it. Although what you can do, which, well, I don't know, it's a benefit to me, because I like taking a loaf everywhere with me. But I managed to hook the front wheel into the back, and we're off, towing myself a loaf. If I'm honest, well, I was going to say obviously I wouldn't recommend it because I'm not going that fast or anything. If I had the roof racks and everything on this thing anyway, I'd be going pretty bloody slow regardless, so it's not as much of a loss as it may appear. I've also got a spare winch on me. I think it glitches a bit now, but yeah, I tried to get the loaf out, it tipped sideways, but of course, it's a goddamn horse of a vehicle. It knows what it's doing. But what I did want to test as well is how well it tows another scout, and to be honest, yeah, again, not impressive enough really for... And I'm not hating on it because that's not the area of like enjoyment that I get out of this Hummer, but I do think, sort of on a side note, they could do with upping this thing a little bit. It's not like it's going to break the game if it was. I mean, you can find the Taiga on bloody Drowned Lands, so the Taiga would eat this thing for breakfast over most terrains. Taiga would eat most things for breakfast over most terrains, to be fair. You see, going along here, it's definitely picks up to a nice speed. I do like that there is a bit more power going to the rear. I still think the whole like friction issues is a separate thing, but nonetheless, I do like that it is slightly arse end happy. But you can see here from the snow, yeah, there's just that little bit more, trying to will a bit more out of it. And I drove over the ice quite a bit. This is like not a bad piece of ice to test, because the normal bit of ice where I usually go, pretty much everything breaks through there regardless, except for a very few things. That bit I just went across, it seems a little bit more resistant to like some of the lighter trucks. I don't think this thing does weigh a hell of a lot, but for whatever reason it did manage to punch through. It seems like trucks get an extra bonus if they've got, say, the wide custom muds like the Khan Marshall has got, or I suppose the TUZ16 now has got, or the Taiga. Like, yeah, they seem to get a sort of more of a bonus from the ice, above and beyond what, you know, making up for the weight characteristics. Like, I would argue that a loaf would put less pressure on the ice than a Taiga with custom muds, but the Taiga's more likely to make it across with custom muds. But I wanted to do a little bit of off-roading while I'm here. I mean, that's what, again, I've been doing tonight, just flying around, having a laugh, and then inevitably I was like, well, I'll try it over here, I'll see how it does. And to be fair, up to this point, it was doing pretty well. Hit this bit, though, and this is a bit iffy in most things. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm in low range with the diffs on, and it's a little bit iffy at the start. But again, you've got to set it in the right sort of category. I'm not trying to compare it to truck. Well, I suppose I sort of am, but I mean, I'm not expecting it to live up. Like, the trucks are just better in this game, and I can kind of see why, mechanics wise and game function wise and all the rest of it. So this is not me ranting about the game. Like, obviously I enjoy the crap out of the game, that's why I'm still playing it. But yeah, it's just not something I wouldn't really go to a scout if I wanted to go flying across rough terrain quickly. There's too many other good truck options really to need that. So I just came over here because I wanted to try and drive across the cliff just for the hell of it. I was trying to go flat out. So you do need to, it's better if you can tap the L1 a bit and get it up through the gears. Not only did I was going to say overcook it, I believe it did understeer then as well, but luckily I'm used to that. It's not my first time, so stuck a winch out, grabbed the tree, and we're back up, ready to go. And to be fair, it's pretty decent at not rolling. I know you would have seen it roll a few times. If you catch your suspension on a barrier, it can flick you over, but generally speaking, it's actually pretty decent at not rolling. Certainly on the better side of things, anyway. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's actually going along better than I thought, if I'm honest. That's what makes me think there's like, oh, have they either some kind of beneficial terrain resistance stat, or maybe they've upped it somehow in some tiny way. But yeah, it was going along better than I thought. Like I say, to add a bit of variety to the game, I like to mix and match my vehicles. I often take stuff out that like isn't objectively the best truck for the particular situation. In fact, like a lot of this game is like, I like that. I like the variety of trucks. I like the fact that some are more nuanced than others and they're awkward and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's part of the fun. And like I say, this is certainly what I enjoy. Flying off the cliff, messing around. I mean, I've usually, when I'm playing around with scouts, I've got some trucks in the area, but it's like the scouts can be the other half of the fun. Yeah, I was looking around thinking, something feels familiar, so got myself a dolphin. Went flying off the cliff. First time, nailed. Partially deleted. However, I wasn't quite satisfied with that, so I brought the Hummer back. Like I said, it's yeah, part of the fun with the scouts. I mean, makes good baseball. Slapping them around with the trucks, throwing them around is pretty good fun. Nailed it off the cliff, but I was looking around now thinking, I wonder if it froze in the right place to where I could fly off the cliff and try and hit it again, but I went for it. Got pretty damn close. Nope. Flew straight over the top of it. So the problem is Dolphin was going too fast. What I needed was some goddamn ballast. More cushion for the pushing. So got myself a loaf and we're off. I mean, look at him. Headbutt. Ass slap or something. I mean, what a goddamn professional. That's why you get yourself a loaf. See? Giving the Dolphin instructions. Go and rescue the Hummer. Job's a good one. But yeah, like I say, this is just part of the fun. There's not really a lot else to say. I was now, while I was down there, that's what she said, while I was trying to fly the Hummer off the cliff, try and hit the Dolphin. I was going to see if I could damage the Dolphin's engine. That was originally the method behind my madness, but I didn't really do anything to the Dolphin. It just completely deleted the Hummer engine, which, I'll be honest, if you do hit a tree or something flat out, this thing really does just get a deleted engine. So yeah, I know some of this does sound like it's bad. I mean, there's a reason it didn't make the top one. There is a few things with this Hummer, but overall, I do think it is pretty fun. I like the option of tyres. I still end up going for the chain just because they're bigger and they grip on icy roads and stuff, so overall that's what I'd rather. So yeah, I reckon that's basically why I like it. Pretty nice speed, got very nice drifting characteristics, good choice of stock tyres, and then it's got the chained. Quite a nice selection of upgrades, all things considered. You can put a decent winch on it, it's got decent lights. It's funny when you fly off the cliff and make it do the glitch and go flying around the map. So yeah, like for the first one, to get us warmed up, number 5 on the list. So get yourself a Hummer. Of course, get yourself a loaf, it's goddamn professional. So that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.